Hey guys, my name's Flinter, and I know I haven't done a proper introduction on this channel yet, so I thought I'd do that leading into this first hunt. So, I'm 22 years old. I was born and raised here in West Central PA. I still live here, still hunt here, and that's going to be, at least for this season, where all the hunts from my side of the channel actually take place. So, hopefully in the future we can expand out a bit, but they're going to all be right here at home for this year. But I started hunting when I was probably, I think, 5 or 6 years old. I can remember getting my first groundhog, my first squirrel, and that early success really just hooked me on hunting. Ever since then, I've been crazy about it. It's always been my passion. And when I started bow hunting, I picked up a bow when I was, I think, 14. And there's something really special about taking an animal with a bow. I mean, you have to get so much closer. There's a lot more that can go wrong. You got to worry about the wind significantly more than when you're hunting with a rifle. And when all that comes together and you can actually get a deer with a bow, is really special. So ever since then, that's really been my main focus with hunting. But one thing I am new to is self-filming. I've tried it in the past a little bit just with like cheaper cameras, whatever I had when I was younger. But I remember watching hunting shows when I was really young, and it's just always been what I wanted to do. I wanted to have my own hunting show when I grew up. And when TK reached out to me about meat hunters and asked if I wanted to be a part of it, I don't think I could have said yes any faster. Like, I've always wanted to have something, and one of the things I've been concerned about is the amount of content. Just like by myself, you know, I have 3 deer tags. I can shoot 2 turkeys in a year and some small game. But with the other 2 guys here in Meat Hunters, I think we can actually, you know, make a lot of content for you guys to view, and I think it can actually be something special. So I'm really excited about this season, and week 1 is starting here. My plan is to do 1 video per week of archery season, and leading into rifle, whatever we have left for tags. But generally my focus is 1 or 2 does in the early season. If I can get both doe tags filled and then just focus on bucks, that's ideal. At least 1 though, so I know I have some meat in the freezer. So that's going to be the goal in the early season. We'll see if we can get that done. And I think with that bit of introduction out of the way, we should get into the hunt. Opening morning was entirely uneventful, not so much as a deer sighting from where I sat, and opening evening brought some much less than ideal hunting conditions. You can hear in the video some kind of high winds. They were kind of swirling around, which of course the deer don't like either. We did see some movement, some younger deer move through quite a while before last light, but kind of as expected with these windy conditions, the mature deer kind of stayed back and didn't move until after the cover of darkness. I did see them move out as I was kind of packing up, and I managed to get out of the stand without actually alerting them, which was good, but not much luck for opening day. Well, it's Tuesday, October 8th, and it is a world of difference from Saturday. Saturday was in the 40s, super windy. Today it's calm in the 70s. We had deer move through on Saturday, mostly fawns in the daylight and then mature does after dark. So hopefully without the wind, they'll get on their feet a little sooner and we can get a shot. And as expected, with the better wind conditions, deer are moving significantly earlier. It's around 5:30 when these young ones start hitting the field, and that is a full hour and a half before the end of legal light. So at this point, I'm getting pretty confident that we'll get a shot. I know mature does are moving through here with plenty of light left. I've seen them do it. It's just a matter of them actually giving us an opportunity for a shot. Just after 6 o'clock, we have our first doe move in, and my first lesson in self-filming. The branch on the right is my normal shooting lane, and when I stand up, I can shoot over that. But because the camera's a lot down lower,
I can't get it on camera. So as I'm attempting to move the camera into a position where I can shoot her as she is, she catches the last bit of movement I do, and I know it's over at this point. There's no way I'm going to be able to stand up still and draw back, so I just have to sit still and hope she doesn't spook everything in the field. And fortunately, she doesn't. She sort of just walks off silently, and I think we dodged a bullet here. She definitely kind of saw me up there, but luckily it's early season, and she didn't spook too badly. But definitely something I learned. Make sure not only do I have shooting lanes, but I have camera lanes going forward. Not long after that, we had our first buck of the year move in, as unimpressive as he may be, and he was with a few other deer, but once again, as deer so often do, they decided not to follow the script and not to give me a shot. As it got later, I really started to worry about my chances of actually getting a deer tonight. Despite the fact that we've seen a lot of deer, it just seems like they're not willing to cooperate and actually move into my shooting lane. But we do get to get a look at this nice young buck. I'm not sure if he's a 1.5 or 2.5. It's kind of difficult to tell through a camera lens. But either way, I'm quite excited to see what he turns into. He's definitely got some promise with the frame he's got going already. So hopefully he sticks around a few years and we can see what he turns into. But as nice as it is to see this young buck on the field early, it's still not really something we can punch our tag on right now. And just as I thought the hunt was over, two of the fawns ran back behind me, and the very doe that saw us earlier in the hunt circled around to see what was going on, and she came right into my shooting lane. The moment she dropped, my first reaction was to make sure I got another arrow in her, because when a deer drops like that with a bow, you really just can never be sure what happened.
And this is where I made my first real self-filming mistake. I didn't really film anything after the kill. I guess, everything sort of got rushed. I mentioned at the beginning of the hunt from the tree stand, it was in the 70s that day, so we wanted to make sure we got her processed and taken care of so none of the meat would go to waste. But I did attempt to do like a post-hunt interview, sitting behind her and talking about everything that went down there. And the other mistake I made, when plugging in the light for the camera so you guys could see, apparently I managed to unplug my mic just slightly, and basically there's no microphone audio of that. So I guess we'll sort of just talk about what happened with that shot and everything here, because I attempted to do it there and, well, you can't hear it. So the first thing that I was really happy with, once we got her taken care of and could look, the first shot that dropped her, it was actually double lung. I caught the top of the near side lung and the kind of middle of the far lung, and I actually didn't shoot through the spine. I didn't hit it with the arrow, so I don't know if it was the way I hit the rib cage or whatever actually did break the spine. But I was happy to see that was double lung, because of course we don't want these animals to suffer at all. That's not the point of this. But I was happy to see that, so I probably didn't need the follow-up shot. I think it was going to be a quite quick kill, but you never know when an animal drops like that. You don't really know what happens, so getting that second shot in there was definitely the right move. But that was the first time I've spine shot a deer with a bow, so I'm glad that I handled that the way that I did, as quickly as I did. I'm quite proud of that. And we have meat in the freezer now, so that's a big plus. We got that one doe tag filled. It's still early, so hopefully we can fill another doe tag. We still got a couple of days left this week to hunt, so we'll see if we can manage to get 2 in the first week.
Unfortunately, the remaining hunts wouldn't yield a whole lot more than seeing a raccoon walk under my tree stand. I tried to hunt some other areas. Obviously, I don't want to pressure the area we shot our doe too much, so I just kind of went into a spot. It's not very deep into the timber, so I shouldn't be disturbing too much. And unfortunately, no deer really came through. But it was good to hunt some other areas, get a different view, and again, we have one doe, so I really don't need to kind of push my luck and chance running a buck out of an area that really I wouldn't have a chance at till later in the season when they're chasing does around. So that was kind of how my week would end, watching a raccoon walk around, and it was kind of cool at least to get some of that footage.
And that's actually how our first week would end. We only had the 2 hunts where we actually saw a deer. Just fortunately, we had the one there where we were successful. We managed to bring down the deer, even though it wasn't exactly how it was meant to go with her dropping. But I'm happy that, being new to self-filming, I wasn't too confident that I'd be able to get a deer down in that first week, because there's so much that can go wrong. There's a lot of movement in the tree stand that you wouldn't otherwise have, without a camera. So that went really well. The spot that I chose is quite good for filming. There's quite a lot of cover, which is nice. But yeah, I'm happy with how that went. That is 1 week down. Next week is archery season as well. We'll see if we can get that second doe tag filled. If not, the week following is muzzleloader, and we should be able to fill that second doe tag in that season. That's doe only here in PA, so not trying to get a buck with that anyway. But like I said, we got meat in the freezer, and should be interesting going forward. I usually don't get a deer that early in archery season. Usually just things manage to go wrong, and this year it managed to go well. That was the other nice thing. I mentioned at the beginning of this, I've attempted to self-film in the past just with cheaper cameras when I was younger, just whatever I had. And it was quite nice to make use of the newer camera, because those, the older cameras that I had, they never would have actually got that on film, because there was, I think, 2 minutes legal light left. I can actually, it's nice self-filming. One of the benefits, at least with this camera, and I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out, there's like a recording time, how long you've been recording, and if you know the legal light time, all you got to do is basically figure out how many minutes until that point. So I was able to pay attention to the kind of counter on the camera and see how long I had left. I didn't have to get out a phone or check a watch, so that was actually nice. But yeah, it was really cool to see the camera actually, make that work in low light. And of course the lighted nocks, they make it a little nicer as well. But I think that's going to be it for this week. Next week will be more archery season, as I said, and we'll see if we can get that tag filled. But for now, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week.